Welcome to the News9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. Let's start with what's making news. There's no end to the hostilities in West Asia. The proposed Israel-Hamas ceasefire has been delayed. The release of Palestinian women and children from Israeli captivity in return for hostages has been postponed till Friday, Israel's NSA Zaki Henegbi said. Israeli attacks were reported at Deir el-Balah and Nusayrat refugee camps in central Gaza, as well as Khan Yunis and Rafah in the south. The Israeli army has also bombed area around the Lebanese border towns of Shihin and Jibain at a time when Hezbollah announced the launch of missiles towards the Sasa site in Israel. Hezbollah members, including a son of a parliamentarian, were killed in an Israeli attack on southern Lebanon. When China sneezes, it seems, the world catches a cold. A mysterious pneumonia outbreak sweeping through China's educational institutions has caused concern. The outbreak has brought back memories of the global COVID-19 pandemic and set alarm bells ringing across global institutions. The WHO has sought an explanation from Beijing about the respiratory illness. The Israel-Hamas deal is yet to fructify. The war rages on. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has discovered the first elaborate tunnel complex under the Al-Shifa hospital. Joining me to talk about this is Colonel Ravi Singh, a veteran of the Indian Army, a combat engineer. He's been on the show earlier to talk about tunnels. Colonel Singh, welcome back to the News9 Plus show.
Thank you Sandeep, thank you so much.
And what do you have to say about the tunnels that the IDF has been just showing us? In fact, if you could play that on the BG, this new elaborate network of tunnels that the IDF...
The tunnels, there are 2-3 varieties of tunnels, like we have the national highways.
Right.
And there are arterial roads.
Yes.
So similarly, tunnels which are going to be used frequently.
Right.
They are very well strengthened and for a lot of traffic.
Right.
Some tunnels are just devised as escape routes and all.
Yes.
They'll be very rudimentary and made by very rudimentary workers.
Right.
So they'll be not as good designs. So photographs which we are seeing are presently the elaborate tunnels, akin to the national highways which I'm talking about.
Right. That's a very good simile. I mean, this main highway and then the arterial road. So these are very well strengthened, they're reinforced. There's a lot of these concrete, those distinct U-shaped concrete arches that we were talking about the last time.
So this is where what they have done is on the side there are columns and on the top there is the arch beam which they have put, and that takes on the load.
That's a bit like a cathedral.
Yes. So this is a design, and this is a design most of the European and archaic designs, old designs.
Right.
So from there they have got this. They're simple to make. They make pieces. And they just keep adding on to it.
Right, like a concrete tube with these arches on top. These
arches keep adding on, and as we keep moving and all, it gives support.
So, Colonel Singh, is it a function of the soil and the the ground, the geology of the region where it's been done?
Yes, it's very important to understand that. See, it is not that the geology will be one straight flat rock. Yeah, it will have different. But this side it is hard clay. So it is easy to construct. Right. There will be some stones and on the way, but mostly now if you compare with our Uttarakhand, it is primarily rocky content, high content of rocky. So this is easy to cut and then just have these arch beams and columns.
And these would be dug by hand or by machines, or how would they have been drilled?
Let's now, very good question. So let's understand this. If one casualty which is so unfortunate which has happened in India, it is taking us all our efforts at a higher level to rescue those people. And here definitely there would be some accidents and all that. But since they are very small size and there would be casualties and would be happening, but would be taken care of. So what I'm trying to say, a very high technology is required. So, but these are very simple because the the earth content is very simple.
They're not very difficult to dig through.
Yes, they're not difficult to. So they've used basic machines.
Right. Like what would be a basic machine?
Basic machine would see we start from the hand shovel. The hand shovel which will can be used through and then we can use augers. Augers is also very simple and then can be used in different lengths we get. Augers and hand machine will be the one. They will not have been used extensive superior technology for these things.
And this obviously has taken them years to drill and move in the reinforcements.
It has, because like I said, first they would have made one, they did reinforcement, Okay, then more and more keep adding to it.
Right.
Because earth disposal, like last time we discussed,
yes,
without being tracked by the Israelis is also phenomenal, because the earth which is coming out from there would have been slowly disposed of in farming and gardening and whatever and all that.
Right.
So it's a very slow process. Which has been done through the years,
and it's
lot
been
of
very
small
deliberately
teams.
done. Yeah.
Yes. So a lot of reinforcements also you see in various forms they have put, so that it doesn't cave in. They have used it as on the main tunnels.
Hostages, you think, could they be held in tunnels of the kind that we are just looking at? There are a lot of, living facilities. We've seen bathrooms, toilets, sanitation facilities underground. So is it possible that...
Definitely the hostage will be inside the tunnels.
Right.
Firstly, and they will not be at one place.
Right.
So all these days, no. Every 2-3 days they would be moving the hostages.
So they're constantly
Yes, they are constantly moving it, because the Israelis are also tracking the movement of where they are.
Right.
So there some pictures you get, see they're moving through the hospital somewhere, you're getting some clips, yes, possibly the hostages. Moment they get to know where they are, then they'll just surround that area and they'll block the tunnels.
Right.
But they'll not be static at one place. The hostages will be moving out, and this is the best place to keep the hostages. In the tunnel, you can't get, there's no communication, you can't get to them.
Right. So it's, there's no doubt in your mind now, after looking at these facilities that the Hamas has built underground, that it is safe for human habitation. And
yes, it is for long duration of time.
For long duration.
Yes, long duration
so
time.
It would be like, for want of a better simile, being in a submarine underwater.
Now, submarine is still very difficult, but this is here it is more comfortable than a submarine, because you have access to sunlight and all that. Slowly you can move out and all that. So
that's what the IDF seemed to say, that a lot of these tunnels were linked to apartment blocks, and like you said the last time, that they would just be linked up to basements.
Yes.
Going from one building to the other.
Basement would be the entry point. All the basement, because entry point is very difficult to make. Otherwise, it will cave in.
Right.
So they use a normal basement and then go laterally and connect. And so they would have chosen buildings and masjids and everywhere they would have connected the submarine, and that
those would be the tunnel entrances, and from there they would kind of
and they are safe havens. The schools, the hospitals, and if you come into the public eye, this is going to be a safe haven. You can't bombard the hospitals, schools, because children and civilians are involved.
Our executive editor Aditya Raj Kaul, meanwhile, spoke with Israel's ambassador to India, Naor Gilon. Let's listen in.
What is the future of the Hamas terror group right now, and after the ceasefire really ends, how are you going to continue this war? Because already when the war cabinet was announced and there was a meeting, there was apparently a heated argument, and in fact even the national security minister seems to say that if the war doesn't continue, I have nothing to do with the government. So what is the future of this war?
As I said before, we have to eliminate Hamas's leadership over or ruling over Gaza. We have to liberate Gaza from them. This is the only way for us to survive. So I think there is consensus in Israel. Also, if you saw the war cabinet, which includes also Gantz from the opposition who joined just now for the war, they all say very clearly, we are going to continue. There is no way anyone is going to stop us. The hope is to stop us. But we cannot stop, because if we stop, we are going to live in risk to the rest of our lives. And Hezbollah in the north that are operated by Iran, everyone is operated by Iran. I think this is also an important point to say. When you look at what's happening, Iran is the head of the snake. Iran has in the Middle East, in West Asia, they has 4 armed wings that they are training, financing and equipping. And the 4 are, I'll start with Hezbollah, the closest in the north. Hezbollah Shiites, and Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, announced himself or presented himself as the soldier in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. So this is Shiites, flesh and blood of Iran, probably the closest to Iran. The second one is Hamas, who are Sunnis, a different group, but they have a joint target, elimination of Israel. So Hamas has no other target. It's not about a two-state solution or anything. From the river to the sea, elimination of Israel, this is exactly Hamas. And then you have the Houthis in Yemen, who are also Shiites, strongly connected to Iran. And you have the militias, the Shiite militias in Iraq and Syria. It's the same groups. And all 4 of them are trying to engage Israel in different levels, different ways. So you understand they're all connected to Iran. You see the Iranian foreign minister immediately, the first week after October 7th, already went to Lebanon, met the heads of all the terror organizations there, and are continuing and are speaking, and also in the BRICS and every place in the UN, wherever they are, the Iranians there are leading the camp. And one has to understand also the problem. And if you try to understand why all of it is happening, part of the explanation for sure is the change in the last 3 years in West Asia. So from the Abraham Accords, from the time that the UAE and Bahrain and then Morocco joined, and now we were speaking and will hopefully also speak in the future to Saudi Arabia, there is like a new group of countries who are trying to improve the region, to make the lives of people better, to the I2U2 economic projects that are coming out of it, India, Israel, US, UAE, and now India presented in G20, the IMEC, the corridor, that sea and land corridor that will be from India to the Mediterranean through UAE or the Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel. So all of that, I think they wanted also to disrupt that, because they don't like when the moderate powers in the world unite to improve their lives. They want their own way of living. So it's a big challenge that we have here, but we are going to prevail. The only thing that we are asking the world, don't disturb us. Don't go for the fake news. There is suffering. There is always suffering in war. There is suffering on both sides in the war. But this is something that has to be done. We have to eradicate ISIS-Hamas. No one told the Americans or the international coalition, don't eradicate ISIS in Iraq and Syria. So, it has to be done for the benefit, for the well-being of the future of all of us.
So that's the Israeli IDF military spokesperson, Daniel Hagari, basically doing a very professional journalist-like walkthrough, what we call, through one of these tunnels.
So notice on the side, as I said, the columns are ending, and on top of it, these are arch beams.
Right.
And they're resting on this.
Yes.
There's no connect. They just put this thing, and the weight it will hold on.
Right.
So there's very, very simplistic design. I'll say this is a very, very simplistic design, and just continue on this.
So you wouldn't need to be like a combat engineer or something to design something like this?
No.
A very basic skills.
Basic, like in villages we have our basic masons and all. They could do it, because you can't use a design here because of the secrecy.
Right.
We have to have very simple design which can be constructed by local people and all, and that's what has been done here. It's a very local design.
So there would be a facility that would, that's the bathroom that we see there, and there would be a facility to actually fabricate all these concrete
So if you see
structures.
that arch which you have seen,
yes,
it could be part of any building structure.
Right.
So when it is being fabricated,
no one would know what it is.
Some house is being made, and these are the arches being used in there, in mosques and schools and places. They are using these arches.
Right.
And the same thing has been used here.
Yeah.
So you can't suspect this is something. And columns are straight columns, nothing very big columns or something.
And the reason we are calling this the truth about tunnels is the fact that the IDF indicates that a lot of the tunnel lighting and ventilation and electricity supply actually came from the hospital.
Correct.
Overground. So they were actually drawing from
that is the source from where the light and electricity is like water from here would have come from the hospital. From the building, the school, or wherever it is.
Yes.
So this is the place, and this will be near to that hospital or school.
Right.
The in between tunnel will be blank just for walking or storing, and that it can be used.
And in fact, there was a revelation by one of the former Israeli prime ministers where he actually spoke that the bunker complex under the hospital had actually been built by Israel while while Gaza was under Israeli occupation. And of course, the tunnel complex seems to have been an addition that Hamas made in the last decade or so since they captured.
Here's another thing I'd like to add on to the tunnel thing.
Yeah.
See, since they don't have a technology, all these arch beams are very simple, where it can be lifted by 2 to 3 people.
Right.
And if you see the girders in metro highway now, there are big cranes required to lift it also.
Gigantic, yeah. These would be 2-man, 3-man.
3-man lift, they'll just lift it and put it. So see the design. It will be very small, lifted by just local people can lift it and do it. No technology is involved.
And then pushed by hand, you think, or would some
they would have
machine
used
be
rollers.
used to?
Sometimes to lift, we use the concept of sling technology.
Right.
Where derrick is used. Just one derrick is what? Just one pole, and you have a pulley.
Right.
So you just lift it through that derrick. So very, very simple, rudimentary, I'll say, technology. Because this is no technology, big technology used, like for shifting stores and all this.
So what are these pipes that we are seeing in the tunnel? This is for electricity?
These are all electrical cable. This is electric cable. Black is electric cable. These have been added on, and you see how it has been hung. No I'll say no designer or something. If it's simple layman,
right,
just put a nail and just hang this and keep moving on.
Right, and this seems to be just wide enough for one person to enter. It would be about 6 feet high and about
because moment
4
you
feet wide.
Increase the span on the top, then that design gets heavier.
Okay.
Then lifting becomes heavier.
Right.
Bringing here becomes a difficult problem. So they had to limit this, so the span is limited. You just see the span on top.
Yes.
It's very limited span.
Right.
So they'll have cast it and then bring it here and install it. So they have to keep in mind the construction process.
Right.
It has to be very, very basic.
So this entire tunnel is actually concrete. It's basically like we said earlier, it's a concrete tube.
Yes, it's a concrete tube.
And
but
it's assembled by
small
section
pieces.
by section.
Yes, that is the beauty of this is this. That is assembled by piece by few people.
Right.
No technology, just few people just keep shifting it, doing it, and they will be doing it slowly and keep moving.
So are there lessons for us? Can the Indian Army, for instance, learn from this kind of technology to use in our forward areas?
No, I don't think so, because see, here secrecy was of paramount importance.
Yes.
So they can't use technology.
Yeah.
Where if secrecy is not, it's our own side, we can use technology. We can do this, what they have done in years, might be in a month or a few months we can do, because we can use
on
technology.
a larger scale, of course.
So that is the thing. The secrecy was very important. So they had to go for rudimentary design, and only by manpower they had to manually lift these concrete structures.
So here's Admiral Hagari explaining the arch structure and the complete structure of the tunnel, and obviously it's entirely concrete. That is the interesting part. And like you said, it's clay because the ground is all clay.
Yes.
They had to basically make a concrete tube.
If you see that region, that is all desert region.
Yes.
Arid land.
Yeah.
So they'll have only this soft.
And close to the sea as well.
Close to the sea.
Yeah.
So this is easily made.
So the Israeli ambassador there largely outlining what the official government line is, that there will be no Israeli occupation of the Gaza Strip after the operations are over, and more importantly, that Israel will pursue Hamas globally. And Colonel Singh, we know what that means. Israel's Mossad fanning out across the world and going after Hamas wherever they may be. So this is essentially a conflict that's going to last for several more years.
See, I feel like there's one of the interviews somewhere, they were saying, somebody asked a question, why are you killing civilians?
Yeah.
Only Hamas should be. Firstly, it is very difficult to identify who is Hamas and who is a civilian.
Right.
That is first
because
point.
Hamas has stopped wearing uniforms.
So that is one point. But you have to see, if anywhere, if you see a civilian is tortured and everybody is watching, then they are part of that militant organization. If you're not doing, anybody is not doing anything, and a torture is happening in a civil street, that means everybody is Hamas then. I am very convinced. Somebody will poke in and stop this should not happen. If nobody is there, then you're part of that. I can understand you're under pressure if militants are there and that. But here you're not stopping, you're not intervening.
This is the October 7th incident when there were widespread videos that were circulated.
After that also somewhere I heard they had caught some Israelis and they were pulling them across the street, and everybody was watching. And some were cheering as well. Absolutely. So that means if they are not Hamas, this is Hamas then.
Yes.
If their whole ideology has been so much changed in such a way that they don't see that pain and agony in another person.
Hostages and
so that is sad. So that is why the Israelis are trying to prove to the world that there is no civilians in this. Everybody is a Hamas, because if the public is like that, then the whole public has to be
has been radicalized. Large parts of it have been radicalized. And given the death toll as well, it seems like there is going to be a Hamas 2.0 at some point in the future. There will be newer groups emerging out of this conflict.
Yes, that is another I'll say
there
effect.
Is that,
after effect is this, that people who are straight, they'll also get converted somehow. They'll get.
And there's that demon in Indian mythology, Rakta Bij, where his blood engenders the thing of many more new demons.
No, so see, you understand this. This may be a story. This I don't know about that aspect. I couldn't comment. But I'm just saying, see the essentially. Now, when this is happening, now when Israelis kill civilians, now there'll be some people who will be tormented. So this is not correct. So that is the blood.
Right.
You are killing so many people, then somebody will get agonized.
Yes.
A small child will get agonized. This was not correct. He will carry that venom. Right. And so that's how it spreads.
So this spiral of violence continues.
Will continue.
Meanwhile, the US has struck at Iraqi militias aligned to Iran over the last couple of days. And one of the interesting US weapon platforms that have been deployed, it's very unique, is the AC-130 gunship. My colleague Deepak Badana has his explainer on what the import of this platform is, the AC-130 gunship. Let's watch.
On 21st November 2023, the United States Central Command revealed that a US AC-130 gunship engaged individuals responsible for launching a missile attack on US and coalition personnel at the Al-Assad air base in Iraq. Now, this was not the first time that the AC-130 was brought into action. Indeed, the aircraft is a veteran of operations all over the globe. Today, News9 looks at AC-130 was largest, most powerful gunship in the entire world. Built by Lockheed Martin, AC-130 gunship is designed for close air support, air interdiction, and armed reconnaissance. It is also capable of escorting air convoys and point air defense. The gunship is crewed by 6 officers that include the pilot, the co-pilot, a navigator, the fire control officer, electronic warfare officer, and a flight engineer. They are supported by 8 enlisted men who serve in the roles of a TV operator, infrared detection set operator, loadmaster, and 4 aerial gunners. The primary weapon of the gunship is a 105mm howitzer. To put things into perspective, this is the same caliber as the Indian field gun used by the Indian Army. Then there are 40mm anti-aircraft guns that are used in a ground attack role by the aircraft. And lastly, 25mm Gatling guns. With 4 Allison T56A15 turboprop engines, the C-130 gunship has a range of 1300 nautical miles at a top speed of 300 miles per hour. The aircraft is equipped with sophisticated sensors for navigation and fire control systems. It has multispectral television sensors, high-definition infrared sensors, and radars for identification of ground forces and targets. There is synthetic aperture strike radar for long-range and adverse weather target detection, and inertial navigation systems, and a GPS for navigation. This aircraft is capable of tracking and engaging 2 targets simultaneously with different levels of ordnance. AC-130 was designed for US operations during the Vietnam War, where it destroyed over 10,000 enemy trucks. The aircraft also made significant contributions in other US operations in Grenada, Panama, Desert Storm, Somalia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Kosovo, Operation Iraqi Freedom, New Dawn, and Enduring Freedom. The AC-130 gunship is a highly versatile and heavily armed aircraft with a rich combat history. Its advanced features, including sophisticated sensors and the ability to engage multiple targets simultaneously, make it a valuable asset for close air support, air interdiction, and armed reconnaissance. The aircraft's contributions to various military operations underscore its importance in modern warfare, and its technological capabilities continue to evolve to meet the demands of conflicts today.
The AC-130 there, literally the Death Star from the Star Wars films. It's interesting, Colonel Singh, how they've managed to pack in, howitzers and Bofors cannons and Gatling guns into a transport aircraft. But that's the Americans for you. They're always front runners in technology.
See, I feel the ingenuity of use of weapons, that is the mastery.
Yes.
We know this is the technology. They always say it is not the gun. It is the man behind the gun.
Right.
So man behind using these technology is going to be ultimate winner in war.
True. From West Asia, we move to Uttarakhand. In a few hours from now, 41 construction workers stuck in a tunnel could be rescued. But there's the big picture. India has no option but to build tunnels in the Himalayas. These are necessary to improve connectivity to our far-flung border regions, and also the need to improve our military mobility to these parts, to make sure the Indian military reaches these contested parts of the boundary. The National Highways Authority of India has ordered a safety audit of 29 such tunnel projects in the Himalayas. These projects have a total length of 79 kilometers. Colonel Singh, break it down for us. What will such a safety audit of these tunnels basically look at?
So I see it that in this tunnel business, like you said, tunnel is required.
Yes.
You can't do away with it, because if the growth is happening, if the GDP is growing at the pace you want, and you want the borders to be protected,
right,
movement has to take place.
Yes.
And movement across these mountains, there is no way. Initially we had just on the surface roads,
right,
but they are not throughout. It's not a. It's a seasonal road, because
right,
throughout the year you can't transport. So tunnel is a necessity. You can't do away with it. So you have to use tunnels in the modern times for connectivity and this. Now, these accidents are happening because everywhere we cut corners.
Yeah.
We try to cut costs, cut corners.
Right.
So there's a SOP for everything.
And there's
in
also
every
the
department.
speed. There is a lot of pressure on
yes, you can call it
too.
speed, but I'll say more not speed. Cost cutting is one of the important, because if you have to survey, there's so many safety things you have to do before. Now that will increase the cost, and that we want to avoid. So when we have a safety audit, definitely I think it will help in a major way. It will increase the cost. That is one negative aspect. It will
increase the cost because the safety aspect will now have to be built into all these tunnels.
Yes, so we know, because a geological survey has to be done very well. So now geological survey is done at a face wash, just a little bit, theek hai, kar diya humne, and don't follow it. What has happened in this tunnels now? If you understand, the strata is not one compact rock or thing. There are various categories. There will be some soft rock, there will be some hard rock, then there will be some slurry rock. So moment you're boring, and you don't have to, you have not studied it. So moment you bore in, now the slurry is creating all the chaos. Because it's not letting the auger machine move forward. Moment is the top is coming.
And all this is a result of the Himalayas being actually very young fold mountains.
Okay, let me see. I've got a piece of paper. See, suppose this is like this.
Okay.
So what we do is, what is the folding mountains? This they were first straight like this. So pressure tectonic plate happened, and then they kept moving, and this is how the fold kept happening, and it kept rising. So if you see the surface, this is a very soft surface. Comparatively, the lower portion.
If you could.
So this is the top will be the soft surface. And the lower portion is compact. But the tunnels are on the top surface.
Okay.
So
the
here,
parts which are really soft.
Yes, they are soft. Soft here, because see, this is how the pressure is building up. This is compacting, this compacting, and that's how the mountain is growing.
Kind of
it's also growing because pushing on top is like that. So these soft surface they have no choice. But the tunnels have to go through this unless you're going very deep. Again, that's a cost and so thing. So in this soft surface, we have, this is not compacted. There'll be, like I said, there'll be slurry rock, there'll be hard rock, there'll be wet vegetation, not wet earth type.
Because of the rain and snow.
Yes, rain and snow. Not only rain and snow. See, so much of we are using this place for storage of water for this hydro projects and all. So suddenly you use this whole area for accumulation of water. There will be water seeping in. So you have touched the natural habitat of that area. So much of water which is happening, it is going somewhere. After some time it will stagnate, but so this is affecting the geology of this area, and that is why it is creating the problem. If it was one straight thing, just one bore, and it would be through.
So that would be a feature that you would use in a mature mountain range like the Andes or something, which is
so if you go to old mountains, there is no such problems. There will be less accident and it will go through. But young mountains, we always will have this problem, and that is why when you said audit report is very important, because you have to study the nature of these young mountains and then take safety precautions. Okay, this is how we'll progress in this type of soil and blah blah blah.
But dialing back from this, moving back a bit from the actual rescue itself, what is the big lesson from this incident? I mean, fortunately there's been no loss of life, but what would be the big lessons for India from this operation?
So one is that audit. See, this is a beautiful photograph where it is there. And this is where the problem is. They are in between holding areas where these workers were rested for some time, and there must be proper water, food, air. They'll be inside that, but they don't have access to outside. That has got choked because there has been a collapse of that tunnel.
Rock slide,
that rock slide, and now they're trying to build in they're throwing a pipe through which they can access those people. So here it is not only the physical not reaching, but psychological of the human mind. So 10 to 11 days they are inside this tunnel. Just imagine those human beings. They don't know what is happening. It's like death in front of them.
Absolutely, a lot of pressure.
Mental pressure is.
Is there a need for a specific tunnel rescue agency or some kind of capabilities which we don't clearly have, going by the time it's taken?
I cannot comment on that, but there will be definitely, when these SOPs are made, there is always an exit policy. If there's an accident, what is to be done, and what is the chain behind, how like they said that ambulance is ready, so many things, hospitals are ready and all that. So there is always these SOPs enumerate every steps to be taken during a crisis which happens like that. So I will not say a rescue team, but experienced, like they have got experienced people who are in tunnel technology, they are brought in to do this type of this. See how the technology also has changed. Auger machine is basically a screw machine that started first. Then we had the NATM, new Austrian tunnel boring machine.
Yeah.
Now they have the SBM.
Yeah.
But now these are very high end. They can't be used in this area.
Yes.
They can be used, but for rescue they can't be used.
Right.
So if you are saying, should there be a rescue? Yes, that should be given a thought, and in quick time frame, can we move some equipment or something to rescue these workers, because SBMs can't be moved.
Right.
But auger machines of various types, like they have got some American auger machines,
yes,
which are being used for
those
rescue.
can be moved. Is this tunnel? Can this tunnel ever be used again once this the
yes, definitely.
gets?
See, first before the tunnel anything starts, they have a survey in which they have an alignment.
Right.
We'll follow this alignment.
Right.
Unfortunately, in that alignment, you had this that plate was not good for tunneling. So now once you have identified that there is a problem, we have done tunnels underwater. China has done tunnel underwater. So once you've identified, then there is no issue.
Right.
Only thing is that imponderable which you have not thought of, that has come. That has created all the chaos.
Right.
If we had done a proper survey and everything was taken care of, then I don't think an issue would. Any accident happens because we have not catered for it.
Yeah.
If a house is designed, they'll have fire hydrants and everything.
Right.
But normally these fire hydrants are not checked. So there's a fire and then there's a problem.
Right.
So what I'm saying is these have to be put in place, and this will definitely make us think and put rescue operations in.
In fact, I was just reading this report by the MDPI, which says that most of the problems, this is a 2022 survey of prominent excavation projects in the Himalayan mountain ranges, which says that there was, the problems associated with tunneling were poor geology, such as shear zones, faults, folds, and fatal rock bursts were common, and this seems to suggest the kind of problems that you were talking of, the young fold mountain problems.
Those shear folds and all. Now, if you are identified this, we come in the shear fold region, then we'll take necessary action. Oh, this is a fold. But if you have not, you're taking just a rocky area, let's start. And that's how the problem is. There are some places which are active slides. If you go to northeast, there are some places active, always there. So they have dozers placed on site. If hoga, then take action. So then we have catered for it, because now we know about it. But if you don't know about it, then if you're not catered, the road will get washed away. It will take a week, 10 days for the road to but once you know this is an active place, we have placed necessary resources at that place. So that's what I'm trying to say. If you do the correct work and study is correct, then you take precautions for that.
Right. And I was reading this editorial by General Atta Hasnain of the NDMA, where he spoke about the convergence of capabilities of the Indian state. And it's very interesting that the operation is being overseen by the PMO, and you have the NDMA, the NDRF, and L&T, and even the Delhi Metro. They're all there. Anyone with any kind of particular expertise, and in fact the Air Force and the railways have also chipped in. Is this a very uniquely Indian problem?
Yes.
Silos, we have capabilities in different silos.
No, this is a beautiful point you have brought out. Here in a situation, a crisis situation like this, then we organize ourselves.
And India kind of comes together.
Yes, we come together because we have the capability, but bringing all that capability at one go. You just see any function. You're just trying to compare with a function. Let's say there's a Prime Minister coming here. So there will be so many VIPs coming. Just one aspect that he has to go out and sit in his car. There will be so many cars jammed up, then somebody has to coordinate which car will come first, which car will come second, which will come. So that coordination is very important. So not only you have all the facilities to host a Prime Minister, but if that coordination is not there, there will be havoc. People will not be able to move out, and if it is coordinated, in just half an hour, everybody will move out and smoothly. So this is exactly, you have the technology, but these crisis situations teach us to bring everybody, amalgamate into one force, and to address the issue, whatever it is coming.
In fact, News9's Nivriti Mohan is on location at Uttarakhand. She's filed this report from there. Let's take a look.
Between the challenges faced by the rescuers to rescue workers from inside the Silk Yara tunnel, where they have been trapped for so many days now, the concerns are being raised regarding infrastructural development in the Himalayan region. Concerns have been regularly raised by the environmentalists, the activists regarding big projects being built in the Himalayan region. Actually, Himalayas are very young mountains. They are fragile, they are prone to earthquakes, landslides and land subsidence. There are regular collisions happening between Indian tectonic plates and Eurasian tectonic plates here. Due to these collisions, the Himalayan region is still growing. collisions keep happening and the region keeps growing, which makes it very fragile. This particular area falls in the main thrust of the lesser Himalayan region and is very sensitive and prone to these kind of accidents if proper care is not taken. But you can see that this is it is very important for the land to be surveyed once these kind of projects are being constructed. Before we start construction on such big projects, it is important that land survey is done and the land is studied and rocks are studied. If the rock is strong enough to hold these kind of projects or not, or the rocks are fragile, all these tests should be done. So these kind of surveys were conducted while constructing this tunnel. But earlier also in Joshimath we saw the incidents of land subsidence happening and the entire town was in danger. It is rather in danger. There also environmentalists had raised concerns about the projects that are happening in and around that area, that sensitivity of the Himalayan region was not considered, was the blame that was being put by the environmentalists on the government. But if we talk about this project, this is part of the Char Dham project. Here the roads are being widened, trees are being felled, and then you can see these kind of tunnels are also being constructed. So environmentalists are of the view that the sensitivities of the Himalayan region is not being considered, and of course these kind of projects are important as far as religious importance of the project is concerned and also the strategic importance of the project is concerned. But it is also important to consider the sensitivities of the Himalayan region before building such big projects in these sensitive areas.
Rajasthan is India's largest state by area. In fact, it's the size of the Philippines and bigger than most European countries. This crucial state goes to the polls on the 25th of November. Joining me to talk about these crucial state elections is my colleague Ghulam Jilani. Ghulam, why does Rajasthan matter so much?
See, Rajasthan matters now because it was a state which Congress rules. It's one of the very few states which Congress rules.
It's the largest Congress ruled
state in terms of area, as you rightly put it. It's also important because Rajasthan is interesting. It is the state which has seen a revolving door arrangement for BJP and Congress. Since 1993, it has seen only two chief ministers. 1998 rather. 1993, only two parties. And only
so more than 2 decades, it's only had
25 years, So 3 terms Ashok Gehlot, the current chief minister, and 2 terms for Vasundhara Raje. And also it's important because of the fact that, if you look at Rajasthan's history, it has, as I said, it has had only 2 chief ministers and it has had only 2 parties ruling for like ever, except for a period when Jansangh, but Jansangh was also, BJP was part of it. So Rajasthan also, it remains, it's one of the states close to UP, close to MP, and it remains in the news because of many things. One is, we recently saw, infighting within the Congress. We saw the big, tussle between Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot. 2 is Vasundhara Raje. Vasundhara Raje is one leader who is being talked about every time when elections come. She is the first woman chief minister of Rajasthan, and she comes from a royal family. She comes from a family of Sindhyas.
The House of Sindhyas.
House of Sindhyas. Right, and she is not just a local leader. She was the first MSME minister. In Atal Bihari Vajpayee government. Vasundhara Raje has seen her, she's considered as the only top leader from Rajasthan for BJP. When Karnataka elections happened, we talked about that BJP lost because they didn't trust into its local leaders. Then there was a talk that BJP will change its strategy in Rajasthan and it will, trust its local leaders. So if you talk about a time period 3 months ago, there was a talk that Raje has been sidelined. But 3 months down the line, when the elections are right there, when we are in the silence period, Vasundhara Raje is the topmost leader.
Right.
She is the topmost candidate to become the Chief Minister of Rajasthan if BJP wins.
And it's a very crucial election for her as well, because that, like you said, that revolving door, needs to revolve for her to come back to power.
So it's her turn. It's her turn. If we go by what is happening in 3-4 decades, so it's her turn to become the Chief Minister. And BJP has not named any Chief Minister candidate.
Very interesting. It's the first time possibly in the state elections that they've not named a candidate.
So they have not named the candidate. When they didn't name the candidates, there was this report that she's being sidelined.
Right.
You know, there were incidents where it was proved that she's being sidelined. Some of her very close leaders were sidelined, and she was sulking also. She was not in the manifesto committee. She was not in the poll management committee. So it was September 2023.
Right.
As I said, 2 months down the line, things have changed. You know, BJP kind of made some arrangements.
But they're still not projecting her.
Yeah, they have not projected her. So there's I mean, people think that she doesn't go well with the top leadership of BJP, and she has had run-ins with the top leaders. She fought with Gulab. You know, she had tough times with the RSS also. You know, but she made some compromises. Like she started the temple run. She was ready to remove her close aide Yusuf, who was in her inner circle. She was ready to part with him. So Vasundhara Raje is and if you see in this election, it's very interesting in the sense because she has not given any one interview, not even a single interview. In this
she's been very silent. Yeah, that's very unlike her.
She has been silent, which is unlikely of her.
Right.
I think she's keeping all cards close to her chest.
Right.
She will see the election results on December 3. She will see how the BJP will perform, and she will maybe decide, because when Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot episode was happening, there were reports that she's supporting Gehlot, and I was talking to somebody in Tonk, he said, had there been not this revolving door system between Raje and Gehlot, Sachin Pilot would have become Chief Minister a long time ago. So, and another thing that he said, if Congress announces today that Sachin Pilot will be Chief Minister for half of the term and Gehlot will share half of the term, then Congress might win landslide, which is not happening. So Raje is a very strong, you cannot ignore her. You can hate her, but you cannot ignore her in Rajasthan, which is something that BJP has also realized. That's why they did some things that Raje wanted. For example, they removed Satish Punia. Satish Punia was her rival within the party. They made CP Joshi the chief of the Rajasthan state. They removed Gulab Chand Kataria out of the state. So BJP kind of, is making some arrangements to keep her, to give her, hint that she is still there. They might make her the chief minister. We saw in September again, we saw there were rallies where Prime Minister Modi was there, where Raje was there, but she was not made to speak. And 2 days ago, there was a rally when Raje was all praises for Prime Minister Modi. I think she has got the hint that she's the only face, she's the only.
And if she's BJP, quiet, she could probably be rewarded.
Yeah, she could probably be the face.
Thank you very much. Yes,
I just wanted to give a wild thought, because this is the first time where BJP has not selected a Chief Minister candidate.
Yes.
Could it be a strategy in case the future requirement so demands to break into Gehlot camp? Can that be used?
Possibly. Politics is so unpredictable, especially in such highly contested states. But thank you very much, Colonel Singh, Ghulam, for joining us this evening. And we leave you with the story by Kiran Tare, which is episode 2 of The House of Scindia, The Maharani's Moment. Thanks for watching.
Jai Jai Rajasthan! Jai
4 months ago, Vasundhara Raje was not sure about her place in the BJP. Today, she is the only smiling leader in Rajasthan. All eyes will be on her moves if the BJP returns to power.
So she may be Rajmata's daughter, she may be representing that legacy. She took on the RSS in a very big way in Rajasthan, but now she knows, she is a realist.
Now her position is, I think, not that strong, and she is perhaps a weaker candidate because she is not getting on well with the party high command. That is what we hear.
She can mingle with upper class people. She can at the same time go with the poor people, and she